Video games, anime, pachinko halls, what is the first country that comes to mind? Well, it's Japan, or as it's known, the land of the rising sun, is a country in Asia in which these things all came from originally. For these things, but also for the amazing culture and people, I've wanted to go there for a very long time. And as someone who grew up with Nintendo, and as you can tell from the background from my content, still plays it to this day, I've wanted to go to one thing in particular. Park that got open on March 17th, 2021 in Osaka, Japan in Universal Studios, Super Nintendo World. When Nintendo first showed this off during the Super Nintendo World Direct, I was flabbergasted and I wanted to go there, as I've been to like parks like Disneyland way before, and this is actually based off of what I grew up with and actually experience still to this day. I've been planning a trip to go to Japan for a couple of years now, and seeing this open as well alongside the Nintendo store that also opened around the same time, this was my time to go. So on July 23rd, 2024, we finally, after months and maybe even years of planning, we'd finally made our way to Tokyo, Japan. But you might be wondering, Super Nintendo World, at least in Japan, is in Osaka. But yeah, we'd make our way towards Osaka only a couple of days later. First, we went into the official Nintendo Tokyo store, where I may have bought a few too many amiibo and way too many plushies, but it was all worth it, as that was what the entire trip was for. My god, this is heaven. Heaven, I tell you. Like, you got Nintendo stuff, I got way too much already, and then you got amiibo, like literally everything. Oh, and I may have bought an extra suitcase just for that stuff to get into. Toad Circuit, Toad Balloon, Toad Balloon Song, Toad Balloon. This store already felt unreal to me, and it showed with the amount of stuff they had, whether it was Splatoon, Kirby, Zelda, Mario, pretty much every single amiibo I could find. I'm an amiibo collector myself, and I felt like I was in heaven there. So after I left that store, I was thinking to myself, what is Super Nintendo World then gonna be like? If this was already so magical, how's that park then gonna be? Well, that question would be answered only a couple days later when we'd make our way towards Osaka, Japan. A couple days before we made our way there, though, I did realize in Tokyo we needed to buy an extra ticket, as Super Nintendo World is a part of Universal Japan, and you needed to get a special ticket for it. Now, these weren't paid tickets, these were special tickets you could get on the Universal app, so that the parts of the park wouldn't get too full. For example, there's one for Harry Potter World, but also for Nintendo World. Problem with this is, though, these are timed. After doing a little bit of research, I figured out we'd have to be there very early, otherwise we wouldn't be let into Super Nintendo World until very late on into the day. So my sister and I decided to go ahead and wake up very early that day and take a cab right to the park. When we made our way towards the park, I had multiple emotions going through my head. I was scared, I was dreadful, I was excited, pretty much the entire spectrum, but there was definitely an opening there. We made it, the promised land, Super Nintendo World, and that's an enormous ride that I will definitely not go in. Yeah, that was not what we were there for. It was a nice sunny warm day and the park would open at 9, but we were let in at 8:30, which... what? We'd also seen a few signs that there were no tickets necessary today to get into Super Nintendo World, so we made our way quickly throughout the park, and there it was. The thing I'd been waiting so long to see, Super Nintendo World itself. It was glorious seeing it there, and after a lady from the staff told us how everything worked, we would make our way inside of it, and it looked unreal. Dude, this is so awesome. Like, it had looked insane in the Super Nintendo World I'd seen, but seeing it in real life is something completely different. Seeing the sign from Super Nintendo World on there was insane, and then when you walked in right through the pipe and you saw Peach's castle, you see Bowser's castle in the distance, and everything looks like you're literally in the Mario games themselves. It was an absolute brilliant moment. Seeing something you grew up with in such a way is something that I'm never going to forget. After taking a look at the breathtaking view, seeing the amazing swamps and piranha plants where you could pretty much mistake for being actually real, we'd make our way towards the gift shop where we would get ourselves the power-up bands for both Peach and Luigi. What is the use of the power bands actually? There are 6 of these power bands in total, and the use of these is pretty much the same for every single one of the characters. We got Luigi and Peach, but you can also get Mario and Toad, for example. You'd put them on your wrist like this, and you could pretty much hit question mark blocks all around the park, getting yourselves coins, but also doing little mini games in which you could get free keys in order to take on a final challenge. These bands also function as amiibo, so we already know what I'm going to be doing with them now. I'm an amiibo collector, okay? After going around the park, getting a few of the question mark blocks here and there that were placed around, we would make our way back towards the gift shop, in which I would purchase myself some brand new drip, in which I think it will look a lot more presentable for this video today. I may have gone a bit overboard with my purchases. Enough goofing around, as we actually wanted to do something now, as we made our way towards the biggest selling point in the entire park, which is a Mario Kart Koopa Challenge. This ride takes place in Bowser's Castle, and it is an insanely cool waiting line. I've never had so much fun waiting in line. As we made our way inside of there, I was most excited to go into the ride. Yes, there was a 90-minute waiting time, but there were so many prompts all over the place, whether it was Mario Kart or Bowser themed, it was insane. Like, I know people make their way towards these parks to go ahead and go in the rides themselves, but honestly, you could leave me in line and I'd have as much fun as I would do inside of the ride in here. A giant Bowser greeted us when we made our way inside of the castle, in which I took a picture of his face and also his ass for some reason, followed up by the real-life incarnations of the cups from Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and different info pages on certain enemies throughout the Mario series. Unfortunately, I can't read Japanese, so luckily there were pictures. If you've ever played Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, you recognize this car as well, as this is the Mario Kart TV car, out of which there was actually Mario Kart 8 Deluxe gameplay sounds coming from. No idea where they were from. I'm pretty sure they were just kind of random, but it was cool that it was there regardless. That's straight out of Mario Kart, little bro. Whoa. I think they're gaming or something. I don't know. Yes, sir. And as we inch our way further and further, we'd make our way into the haunted house section. Bowser's throne was also there with a cute picture of Peach next to it, and we saw how different Mario Kart items were being constructed right in front of us. The fire. Look at this fire, bro. It's not a fire, bro, but like the fire. Not just that, but also a few bob-ombs, which is definitely a reference to one of our Twitch viewers. Nafe. My boy Nafe. Nafe, bro, Nafe. It's for you, little bro. And all of this was just the waiting line. We weren't even in the ride itself yet. But eventually we'd make our way towards the waiting room, in which we get ourselves a Mario cap, not this one, but actually a VR cap. Lakitu would explain to us how everything worked, and we would get ready for the final stretch before the ride itself. Here we go. Let's go. Oh my god. I couldn't film in the ride itself because most of it was on our VR glasses, but the ride itself was amazing. We were put in different carts, which 4 people at a time could fit in, and we'd pretty much try to hit each other with different items and the other racers from flying by in order to get the highest amount of coins, and the team that got the most would win. In the middle of our race, I managed to figure out how to put on the VR glasses, so that was kind of unfortunate, but it was an amazing ride, and the vibe of which I was still on when I made my way back upstairs. We did it. And this is where we would also find a second gift shop, which had even more cool stuff, including this cool yellow penguin toad that I had to get for a Twitch chat because everybody loves Yellow Toad. But when people say this ride is worth it, this ride is definitely worth the trip to the park. But the park itself is also so amazing as we walked around a little bit more and we just took in the views looking at it like these were the worlds we'd play in back on the Wii with New Super Mario Bros. Wii or New Super Mario Bros. DS back on Nintendo DS, with Mario Kart DS, with more recent games like Mario Wonder. Just seeing all of this come to life was incredible. Like even the bathrooms were cool. They had like the underwater music and everything, but I'm not gonna show you guys that on here because I would definitely be banned. However, we did manage to figure out that we could take a picture with Mario and Luigi. Unfortunately, there was a waiting time for about an hour, but this was our best chance. With such an amazing background, we'd had to go get one. Those people had to walk around all day in those suits, and I had so much respect for them, but we got some amazing pictures out of it with an unbelievable background of Super Nintendo World itself. So worth it, and so happy I got it. We were hearing the coin sound everywhere of everybody using their power-up bands, and I had to get away from it. So we made our way towards the Yoshi's Adventure Ride, which is a Japanese exclusive. Eggs, eggs, eggs. That's the way to describe the waiting line of Yoshi's Adventure. Just like how the Mario Kart ride was a giant homage towards the Mario Kart franchise, as well as Bowser with his own castle, so was this waiting line, but then with the entire Yoshi series. And it was a very cool waiting line once again. There were eggs everywhere, there were flowers, there were question mark birds. This was a giant homage towards the Yoshi's Island franchise that was really cool to walk into after only playing Yoshi's Woolly World a couple months in advance, which, you know, is peak. Lane, little bro, it's peak, like Yoshi's Woolly World. It's not made of wool though, but Peak Lane. Peak Lane. We love Peak Lane. We do. We really do. Look at this egg, bro. They got the flower, it's like Peak. It's Peak all over again. There was also a Yoshi block, but that didn't really do too much when you hit it with your power band, but it was cool, it was there anyways. I don't think this one works. Like the waiting line, the ride itself was also littered with Yoshi's Island references. There were Pokies, Kamek was there, Baby Mario on Yoshi's back, and I forgot to film any of it. It wasn't like the Mario Kart ride where I couldn't, but I was just experiencing it myself. But here's some clips I found anyways. It was a ride where we pretty much sat back and just looked at the scenery, kind of like when you walked around the park itself, and it wasn't anything too special like the Mario Kart one, but that's probably because it's a Japanese exclusive anyways, but a cool addition regardless, and the waiting line wasn't even that long, and still, the waiting line itself, just like the Mario Kart one, was amazing itself. It was 2 PM at this point, and we were kind of hungry. We wanted to go ahead and eat something. Luckily for us, there was a restaurant, pretty much in the theme of a Toad House, but you had to make a reservation for it, so we had to wait another 3 hours for our food. So in the meantime, we went our way back towards the Mario Kart ride and experienced it once again. Nothing really new or crazy happened this time around, except for the part where I actually put on my VR glasses on correctly this time. But it was definitely worth waiting for this ride for a second time for 120 minutes. Whoa. Some tires. Bowser loves to ride. Don't take that out of context. Oh, that's the blue shell killer, the super worm. The Mario 3D World music. We got some more tires over here. Like a barrel. Ooh, a barrel roll. Wow. I'm keeping up the whole line, by the way, just so everybody knows. Just to film this. Worth it. There's so many people behind us. God. Look at this. Now, Mario Kart Koopa Challenge and Yoshi's Adventure are the two main rides of Super Nintendo, but there are a few more things you can do when you buy the power-up band. Not just getting coins, but also a few minigames, which actually helps out a ton, as only having 2 rides is not a lot. There were 4 separate challenges, of which you could complete free in order to get to the end, as you could get a key, which is pretty much the same as in the Mario franchise, for completing each and every single one of them. We began by trying to pull this Koopa Troopa back, which we did just by spinning this thing, which earned us our very first key. As we were only with 2, there was a second challenge for a second key that we had to go ahead and play with someone else. We'd go ahead and click on the tiles that were red and not yellow. We did this in time in order to earn our very own second key. There was a final challenge in which we had to time the Koopa shell going from left to right in order to hit the Koopa Troopa, and if we did so, we would earn our final key, which I was able to do. So this meant we had ourselves our very own free keys, but at this point it was 4 PM and it was time for a dinner reservation. You could get yourself food and drinks in the Toad House, which was themed after Mario as everything in the park was, with a bunch of power-ups on the wall and a bunch of other Mario references, including music. And not only that, the food was also based off of Mario. Usually when I go to a theme park and they have foods based off of actual properties, I don't usually feel like they are very good or very tasty, but they're like a fun thing to have because they're based off the property. I bought myself a Mario hamburger and it was surprisingly really good. But why did we get those keys earlier? Well, after our little break, we managed to make our way towards the final challenge, the Bowser Jr. Challenge, in which the employees would scan your Super Mario power-up band, and if you had the keys, like we did, they let you in, and if not, you weren't allowed to go in yet. It was a really cool statue of Bowser Jr., and as someone who's known for liking Bowser Jr., he was very cool there. The final Bowser Jr. challenge was really cool. It was kind of like Just Dance, but then not dancing, but you trying to get a power-up that was right in front of you, and you try and hit Bowser Jr. and all the enemies that came after you. As in, there was a screen in front of you that would track your movements. You could get yourself some power-ups, you could try to hit Bowser Jr. with other things, but you had to move your hands physically and jump around in order to hit Bowser Jr. Honestly, outside of the Mario Kart ride, this was the coolest thing we did all day, since we were actually like moving around, hitting Bowser Jr. I had a lot of fun doing this, and you can tell by the scores, because I got 30 points. My sister ended up getting like half of it, and all the other people that were with us only had like 6 or 7, which was kind of insane, as I felt like I wasn't even doing that good. The keys are the biggest part of the park. That's why I would recommend, if you were to go to Super Nintendo World, that you do end up getting the power-up bands. Otherwise, you pretty much miss most of the park. We'd already gotten ourselves all of the keys, did all of the fun minigames, so there wasn't really much left for us to do outside of this fun Super Mario 3D World minigame, in which you try to get the same power-ups on the board in order to get as many coins as you can, and of course I managed none of them. Before we left the park for good, I wanted to pick up a few more things at the gift shop and take in the amazing view, as it had some fantastic Mario music remixes playing, including Puzzle Plan Galaxy at the time, which is one of my favorite Mario songs of all time, and they did it justice. Something I haven't really touched on today is the amazing remixes they have playing in this park. Like, it's not just songs I just straight up ripped from the games, like from Mario Wonder and 3D World, and just call it a day. No, they got an orchestra to remake a lot of the music, and not just, you know, songs from the newest series like Mario 3D World or Mario Wonder. No, they got songs from all over the series, from New Super Mario Bros. To 1-1 to Mario 3D World to Galaxy and Puzzle Plan Galaxy, one of my favorite songs from Mario. But unfortunately, that was the end of our day, as slowly but surely we would make our way to the exit of the park, which felt kind of weird to me. Having looked forward to this day for so long and now finally have been to Super Nintendo World, it felt so weird to leave it behind like that. I took one more look throughout the entire park and just had a feeling of excitement, happiness, and the fact that we actually had made it our way there earlier that day was just incredible to me. That morning, I was still nervous whether we would even be able to make our way inside of there, and now we had done literally everything we could have. Super Nintendo World is a love letter towards everything Mario. Whether it's Mario Kart, whether it's Bowser's Castle, whether it's Yoshi, they have it there. And the way they put everything together was fantastic. They couldn't have done a better way, with even Donkey Kong joining in the fun later in 2024. This park, Universal Japan, Super Nintendo World, it was worth the entire wait. Well, that's it for Nintendo World. What a fantastic day here at Universal Tokyo, Osaka, Japan. Incredible. Hope to see you all very soon.